part of grief is because clients will have a loss in their life. They lost a job, or I've had clients that have lost their health. I mean, one of my best friends had to deal with some health, is still dealing with some health challenges, that were totally unexpected. He had a stroke, and there's grief in all kinds of different forms. It could be, we think maybe someone lost a kid, or they lost a brother, or they lost a parent, but it's a lot of forms of grief. And I think that's kind of misunderstood. Right. And it can be something, a divorce. That's huge. A huge as part of grief too. Even changing careers to one that you really like we have, maybe, Brian guy does my podcast. If he changed his career to doing podcasting full time, he could grieve, potentially not even know it. But if you're in a field, he's an engineer. He's an aeronautical engineer. It can surprise you. Yeah. So what is grief in your kind of definition? Oh, wow.
Okay, that is a big one. A grief would be it's just the loss of, or the change of something that's expected. So if we're talking about the loss of life, the loss of a loved one, we have this plan on what life is supposed to look like, and the trajectory of what we're supposed to do from now and basically forever is what we're thinking. But, and so when we lose somebody, it's not all of a sudden I have to reconfigure or recalibrate everything that I planned on. So if you take that same kind of philosophy and theory, it's the same thing of losing a job or a divorce or a friendship, relationship, whatever. It's just the change of what we anticipated. And some of them, of course, are going to be a lot heavier, the loss of loved one. And I know you know this, but I lost my dad about 6 months ago, and I'm still trying to figure out how that grieving process works, to be honest with you. So I work with people who are grieving, but it's just different. So I wish there was like a one-stop shop. You could say, oh, this is what you do, when you at this level that you're going to do this level, this time frame, you're going to do this, but it's not. It's just so nebulous. It's just so arbitrary.
So what has been, and kind of getting personal here, I just think this is so helpful for the audience because you have a real life experience that's fresh and everything. So what's been helpful or not helpful from other people helping you with the loss of your dad?
Well, I'm still dealing with it, still going through that. So I don't know if I can put a finger right on that. I will tell you though, after talking with some other friends who have had some significant losses, one of the best things to do is to be able to talk freely about the loss, the person. That is the absolute best. You hear all these little platitudes and all these little, and I know they're nice. People are trying to be nice and comforting, but I can encourage you, if you really don't know what to say and you have to come up with one, just say nothing and just say, I'm so sorry that this is where we're at. That's probably the best one. But being able to say the name of that person is just pivotal. I think
to say their name.
Absolutely.
Because people won't say the name.
Right.
They will
They're
not.
afraid to bring it up because they're afraid it's going to be painful. Well, guess what? It's painful. It's always going to be painful. Oh, I don't know. About 5 years ago, I was working as a clinical director at a church here in town, their counseling center. And we did a Christmas service for people who had lost a loved one, either that year or, fairly recently. And we had, oh, golly, I anticipated maybe 15 or 20 people, but word got out in the community. I think we had like probably 150 people there. But one of the most one of the most wonderful things that we did is when they came in, they actually wrote the name of their loved one on a card. And then during the service, we would get up and we would read every single person's name. And that's when you saw people start to you could tell this deep breath, wow, somebody actually said it. I don't, So I think being able to just talk freely and not feel like you have to, quote, comfort them, but just say, hey, take me in this conversation. Where are we going? Where are you at? So, yeah. It's tough, though. Grief is a hard one.
That's a tough one. So is it okay to ask them what they miss about?
Yes. Anything that's personal like that? Yes.
That's okay?
I think it's great. Yeah. Okay. What do you miss? Especially if it's somebody that I haven't met, let's say that somebody comes to my office and I will just ask them those questions. Tell me what quality of your dad do you possess? Tell me what is the one thing you're taking away that people would say, oh man, you just like your dad in that. I want to know that. I want to know his name. What did he do for a living? And you just ask all those questions.
Okay.
Tell me your favorite memory of, Christmas with him. What did he do that was funny?
Yeah.
Or goofy,
So what's something you miss about your dad?
He was quiet, German. He was quiet, but he always had a pretty good sense of humor. And even in the later stages, he had what was called frontotemporal dementia. So he lost his ability to speak about 2 years ago. So we had pretty quiet, but it was funny. He still understood everything that was going on. But if you would make a joke or something, he would just get a grin on his face and you could see him kind of chuckling. I miss that, just that look.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when mom would get frustrated with him because he couldn't get her to understand something and she'd get frustrated. I don't know if it made him laugh, which made her angrier.
Yeah.
And I know that's not a good thing, but as the child of that, hilarious. I'm just telling you, it was great.
Watching it was
It
hilarious.
was funny. It was funny.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing.